Shredder from 2001, or 2002, or 2003, depending on where you look. A direct-to-video slasher movie from the early 2000s. A bizarre movie that I had never seen before until today. Let's get into this thing. Welcome back to the Act of Violence channel. My name is Alec. Today, we're talking Shredder. Now, this is a direct-to-video movie. However, this did not come out in the US until 2003. It had a 2002 release in the UK, but apparently was made in 2001. So this is interesting. I got this at a Goodwill, I think, like a year or two ago. Just hadn't watched it yet. It's a copy from Movie Gallery. You can see the sticker there below. And it's got the little Ho for horror, I guess. So let's pop this disc in. You never know with DVDs. They either have trailers or they don't. This one's got a trailer for Jeepers Creepers 2, and a very simple DVD menu, not even music playing on this thing. But hey, the movie had a budget of $750,000. It was shot in 17 days. What were we expecting from the DVD menu, you know? I do, however, appreciate that it lets you select widescreen or full. Obviously, we're going to select widescreen today. I gotta say, snowy settings really work for low-budget movies. It feels like there's production added, and there's not, you know what I mean? There's some opening snowboarding scene, and then there's some very awful edits here. Some very awful jump cuts. Like, I'm confused. When did it become clear that this guy was being chased? That his life was in peril? What is happening? Why is the music kicking in? Did I miss something? We do get a nice little wire decapitation, and that's always fun to see. You know, the effect is short-lived. I was impressed at this point. I was like, okay, I mean, it's going to be bad, but it's going to be, like, good bad, right? I was thinking somewhere along the lines of Jack Frost, you know what I mean? The entertainment value that has was not found in this movie. It does the classic thing that slashers were doing at this time where they, you know, they kind of mimic old scenes from older horror movies. They homage them. It's a fake scare. The music gets all tense and everything, and then it's just, you know, one of their friends. And they are like, oh my God, you scared me. It's just, that's one of the cliches we can get rid of. And let me talk about the ADR in this movie. The audio consistency, let me rephrase that. There is no audio consistency. When they're in a car, it sounds like they're in a recording studio. When they're on the side of a mountain, it sounds like they're in a recording studio. When the guy who's holding the weird little video camera is talking, it sounds like he's in a recording studio. Now, sometimes you have to do stuff like this, but I feel like there's ways to do it that make it sound right. Like, that audio could have easily sounded like it was actually in a car, and it just doesn't.
Well, you see, it's not exactly private. It's more along the lines of close.
I will say, I do appreciate the cinematography in this movie. You know, it's very easy for a movie like this to also look like crap. The thing is, you have to pay attention to this movie, otherwise you won't know how bad it is. Because visually, I think this movie was awesome, for the most part. And by that, I mean the setting, the cinematography, the direction. It seemed to work pretty well with that. There's a lot to be desired in the writing, though. But my God, this movie just... When some of the characters are talking, it's so annoying that I can't even, like, focus on what they're saying and listen to them. Like, there's such an annoying character that I'm just in my head about, like, God damn it, shut this fucker up.
Yeah, bite me.
Oh, don't listen to her, baby. I respect you.
Out of my face, dweeb!
Ow, you hit me!
Oh, God, pull over!
The interesting thing about the soundtrack is it has regular score sounding stuff, typical horror stuff that in places, honestly, has no business being there, first of all. And then there's some, like, local ska and punk and pop-punk bands on the soundtrack. And honestly, not all of those were bad, you know? A couple of them I was like, hey, this is pretty good. Not bad. I like some music like that. So, you know, what I liked about it, too, in that sense, is that it sounded like these were local bands that these filmmakers probably knew or sought out, you know, to be in this movie. I didn't actually look up the soundtrack, so I don't know who all exactly was on it, but there's some interesting gems on there. That's a plus. But because of that and the vibes that are going on with, like, this snowboarder, like, dude, like this surfery snowboarder dude, you know, feels like it's trying to be Mallrats. Like, this feels like Mallrats, but a snowboard slasher. That's how I would describe this movie. I don't know if I mentioned this at the beginning, but Scorpion did release this movie on Blu-ray in 2022. So if for some reason you want to torture yourself, you can seek that out. Well, let's talk about the killer here, because the killer is the least exciting part of this movie. Until about the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes, then it's mildly interesting. I'll give it that. But it's just like a skier in black, you know? Like it's not even a cool black outfit. It's just like boring. Person doesn't even look cool, you know, or scary. It's just like, there's no personality there. So obviously on this mountain, there's a whole skiers versus snowboarders thing, and that's the thing. The killer is a skier, and they're all snowboarders. There's lots of weird relationship stuff going on in this movie that I guess is pretty typical of slashers. Like some of it seems like really typical, like it's going for that early 80s cheese almost, you know what I mean? Like in terms of how low budget and weird the script is. They're hanging out at an abandoned ski resort. And she lies to get her friends there. The sheriff shows up and they're all like flirting with him, implying that they're gonna like bang him and shit to try to get, him to let them stay there essentially. So what I will say is I definitely will at least watch this one more time at some point, during winter, some year when I'm like, I haven't watched that in a while. Let me check that out again, see what I think. Because I do like really schlocky, bad, cheesy slasher movies. I like the ones that are good and artsy too. And I'm someone who's worked on a decent amount of like more local type, low budget movies and a few horror ones. So I definitely appreciate what it takes to actually get a film made, start to finish, like and actually go through with everything. I haven't directed a movie or anything like that, but so I'm not a hater. I went into this wanting to like this movie more. The reviews I read were not promising. The sex scenes, I swear to God, Tommy Wiseau came in and guest directed them. And the thing about this movie is eventually it just devolves into what reminds me of that episode of It's Always Sunny when they write that movie. This movie sort of goes back between snowboarding and like pop punk or ska music and maybe a sex scene or a kill scene. And it's just like those three alternating back and forth for about 86 minutes until the movie just sort of ends. I do think the ending, spoiler warning, I will say the villain getting sucked into the little, I don't even know what that is. It's not exactly a wood chipper, but they are sprayed everywhere. That's pretty cool. Definitely enjoyed seeing that. So what can I say? What are the positives of Shredder? Well, some of the music. Some of it. I think it's very interesting, and I appreciate that they were using lesser-known music from probably local bands. The cinematography, again, I think that's definitely a plus for this one. It wasn't bad to look at. I wasn't like, Jesus Christ, this guy's never held a camera in his life. I'm not a cameraman, but I thought it was fine there. And it's short. It's a solid 86 minutes. Now let's talk about the negatives. Listen, I'm not going to put down the cast, but I will say the characters were shit in this movie. There were some really annoying surfer types, and it's all, like I said, borderline all ADR. Which I guess I should have said this earlier, but if you don't know what that is, it's when they re-record the dialogue in a studio later. Usually they do a really good job of masking it and making it match. Now sometimes not so much. I'm pretty good at picking out when they do it. This was not hard to pick out at all. If you're watching this, you're probably thinking, what the hell, why does this sound so weird? That's why. The kills are weak. Man, this is a slasher movie called Shredder, and while we're talking about that, let's talk about this slasher. We needed a better costume. Like this costume, like look at that on the front there. You're kind of thinking, oh my God, this might be a little like My Bloody Valentine or something. No, that outfit's boring. This guy's boring. This girl's boring. So I don't know. I like a lot of shitty movies, believe me. I can't wait for Rumpelstiltskin to come out. People will call that movie shitty. I don't care. It's amazing. I am salivating at the thought of it arriving at my doorstep, and I can't wait to review the 4K and VHS for you guys on that one. Overall, Shredder's gonna get a 1.5 hearts out of 5. I think that might be the lowest rating I've ever given a video on this channel. I usually review stuff I like, unless it's new or I haven't seen it before. I don't intentionally do hate reviews or anything, and I wouldn't even say I hate it, or, I'm not like, God damn it, I hate this movie. Death to them. Death to snowboarders, it says on there. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this one in the comments below if you have seen it, and if you haven't, don't. And if you like this video, be sure to check out this one and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.